What is up, guys? Welcome to a brand new video. There have been loads of hints recently about some major AD carry item changes on the horizon, so I put on my detective hat and dug through a ton of stuff to show you. I even watched a 30-minute interview with Ghostcrawler, Riot's lead designer, to find out as much as I could. 30 whole minutes looking at his lovely face. Let me know whether you think this is going to be a good thing or bad though, and remember to subscribe and stick around for some more videos if you enjoy it. Now, this all started with a post from Medler about some basic gameplay thoughts last week. There was a part about AD carry in there. He said that there weren't big enough differences except like power curve and items between AD casters, lane bullies, and crit marksmen right now. So AD casters would be closer to mid laners. They're using their like abilities more than auto attacks. Lane bullies just champion stronger early than late. So like Lucian is a good example, and crit marksmen are just typical scaling champions like Caitlyn. Utility ones are the fourth category of AD though, and are a bit more obvious with what they bring to a team. But even they have like a normal AD carry stuff, just a little bit less. If you think about it, like Sivir has her speed and Ashe has her arrow, but eventually those two are going to carry with their autos anyway. So how these guys get their power, like their items and abilities, and when like early to mid game and stuff, they are different, but the kits though are very similar for all of them. When I put some champions next to each other, it actually kind of made some sense. Like if you think about Lucian and Caitlyn, they have a main damage source with their Q, a dash, a secondary damage with some utility, and then their ultimate. Tristana is the same, like damage, secondary damage, dash, ultimate. Jinx, damage, secondary damage, not a dash, but crowd control, which is the same goal of safety, and their ultimate. It made me think though, like if there aren't big enough differences between them, then surely that means there's going to be another marksman update and they're going to have to rework some of the champions again. Now maybe that is going to happen eventually, but actually the more I looked at it, instead we're going to get that from items, I think. So there has been a lot of talk recently of the tank mid-season update, right? And with it there will most likely be 3 full reworks and some item changes. Now actually it's looking like crit items will be in there as well, even though it's not related to tanks. It's mentioned in a ton of random comments by a lot of different writers, but this is an obvious one about it. So if we do it, it's going to be in 7.9 or 7.10, which is mid-season. This definitely seems to follow if there aren't big enough differences with crit marksman compared to others like you said earlier, but there's more as well. Someone asked about the effect on Yasuo if they did change him, so they would make some adjustments to a few non-marksmen like Yasuo, GP, Trinimir, stuff like that. The goal would be to keep them at their current power level. Now it doesn't directly confirm anything again, but why would you even answer a question like that unless you've already thought about it and there is a high chance it's going to happen? The thing is, Riot are very careful about what they say. You actually have to take a course at Riot if you want to speak on the board so you don't leak anything. Like, it's serious business and they work months in advance. If they weren't already testing crit item changes, then they just wouldn't be talking about it at all. They are covering themselves with the ifs and stuff so they can back out if they have to, but I think they must be working on them right now. This is where the video with Ghostcrawler comes in more to kind of back it up. You can watch it if you want to, a link is down below, but these are the main points about this video anyway. So we talked a lot about AD carry in the bot lane, like a lot about having early options or not having early options. He says they don't have good early builds. Like when they have to deal with fights, like people coming into their lane, they don't really have anything to deal with it. They don't have early power spikes. He doesn't just want to buff AD carries though. He really wants to sort out items. That kind of sounds like lethality a bit, right? Like Jhin can go lethality or he can go crit for a better late game. The choice is there. I thought he might be talking about that more, but then he mentions Jinx and Tristana by name specifically. So with Jinx and Tristana, you want to feel like an option is there early for when they're getting full man. Specifically, crit champions need to have some kind of early build they can go for. He goes on to say it's all about choice though. You should be able to choose to peak early, but late game won't be as strong, or it will take longer to get to your power levels. It's not really about picking something up early and auto losing late game or anything, but there should be a trade-off. Like you get an advantage early, but you lose a bit late. The thing he really wants to avoid, and the problem right now with crit champions, is you can't really buff them early game because they'll get strong and they'll stay strong. That is what they want to avoid. So that kind of sets the scene, but then we have the really big hint. The real solution, he says specifically, is dramatically changing an early item or a brand new item. The problem he says with that is it's very hard to squeeze into a regular patch. Like they only have a couple of days to work on it. It can't just randomly go into like 7.4 for example. Considering we have Medler talking about crit item changes being in the mid-season update, and we have Ghostcrawler saying that if we did something like that it would be too much for a random patch, it would have to be mid-season. Also him saying that crit building champions need an early option, the solution being a new item or reworks. You put all of that together, it sounds like we're getting some big reworks or new items mid-season for crit if they go through. Riot hates linear build paths, right? You build the same every single game, and that's exactly what crit item builds have become now. If you remember years ago when you played AD, it was Bloodthirst or Rush into Last Whisper every single game, so they completely changed those items to make sure you wouldn't do that anymore. Now yes, this is all just maybes right now, but I think I've dug up enough to make it pretty interesting to look at and show there's definitely some work going into crit items right now. The existing items that I most likely look at will be things like Infinity Edge or Essence Reaver, and then the 3 attack speed items, well, the 4 I guess, the Static Shift, the Rapid Fire Cannon, Runes, and Phantom Dancer. Those are the core of crit builds, and obviously they're very good late game, but they kind of suck early. So either we're going to get something brand new, or one of those is most likely going to get changed to be a lot better early. So that's kind of the crit stuff, but Medlar actually also talks about putting other champions bot lane as well. Like mages are pretty easy because they're very similar to marksmen, but he actually wants to put melee champions there. This is going to be someday. He said it's quite hard to do it. I'm guessing it's a way off. It's like one of those design goals that eventually might make it into League, but who knows? Maybe in Season 8 we're going to have like bot lane Garen and Yasuo farming it up. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and look into what the mid-season update might be holding in store for us AD carries. Thank you for watching the video. Remember to subscribe if you enjoyed it, and for now, let's go to the robots.